What's the trickiest thing about getting into electronics modding? What's up guys, it's Drac, and this is a box. Let's find out what's inside. Yeah, it could be anything, even another box, right guys? So this is a pretty exciting box, all things considered. This is the all-anticipated Dart Zone Pro Mark III. Now, I'm stoked because this looks to be the single greatest game changer for getting into electronic modding or getting into performance electronic blasters that we've seen ever. So this is a top-of-the-line flywheel primary blaster, ready to go for competitive, out of the box, and it only sets you back 130 bones. Let's take a look inside. So right off the bat on the box, I noticed one thing flipping through here, which is that if you'll take a look over here, we have two separate battery indicators. Over here, we've got the 8 AA's that this is going to take in its stock configuration, as well as something for the digital sight in the form of 2 AA's. Ba-da-da-da. All right, so inside we have a lot of things to like. This one generic, this could have been a target. A little bit of printing, could have been a shootable target. Inside we have instructions, we have inclusions, we have all sorts of adaptations and what have you. So the question here is gonna be, how self-aware is this included information? And it talks about switching from semi-auto to full auto. It talks about the red dot sight, talks about how it goes on a tactical rail. It talks about magazine compatibility. On the front here, it says that you're gonna need 8 AA's for this, and then 2 AA's for this. Blaster is going to come with, well, you know, we could just show you. Blaster comes with 2 magazines, 1 half, 1 full, an adapter similar to the Pro adapters, you know, the Nexus and the Striker adapters that we've seen in the past. Blaster comes with a stock. Blaster comes with a red dot sight, which used to be a very coveted, very prized Nerf accessory, as well as 15 darts, enough to load both magazines once, a full length and a half length variation. We'll talk more about the darts later. The one thing that I want to celebrate here that I won't be using because I have eye protection everywhere I go is that it's nice for a blaster that's doing what this is doing, that's an intro to competitive for so many people, that the package is including free eye protection. I just want to bust that out. Whoops. Call that a quick little durability test, a drop test, if you will. I want to be fair to all blasters when I review them. The purpose of this content is to be as honest as possible. These are of a higher quality than the ones that Hasbro was including with some of their hyper blasters, which I applauded the theory of, but did not applaud the practicality of. They also look slightly better. They've got these side vents that would, and I think, I'm trying to see, they will. These actually are significantly nicer in that they will fit over regular ocular enhancers. However, I do want to give them the same critique that these, while nicer than the competition, which is sort of the theme over at Dart Zone, I would have killed for a little bit of branding. Anything that said Pro on the side or Dart Zone on the side, it would be nice if these were a little less generic. But I roasted Hasbro for really cheap eyewear. This is really cheap eyewear. It's just of a class above. And in both cases, I want to point out that I'm just thrilled that there's eyewear in the box. If we're going to start flinging foam at this FPS, at this level, I think that it's important to protect our primary asset. So as previously mentioned, the blaster includes all of those things: 30 darts, 2 magazines, an adapter, a sight, and a stock. Of course, you also get the blaster itself. Sight itself is a little stiff, but let's just go through some of the ergonomics, I guess, start to finish and see how those feel. So the adapter feels good. It's the same adapter that we've been getting. Blaster has a stock with a rubberized pad on it. The rubberized pad is actually quite nice. And then of course, the stock itself is the standard buffer tube, which would be compatible with a lot of M16 stuff that we've been adapting it to in the hobby already. Then you get the return of the rubberized grip. It's oh so nice. And the Mark 1.1, that was something that I really, really liked, particularly when you're nerfing in hotter climates, a la Cold War. It can be nice to have something to ensure that your grip stays exactly where you want it. Then, you know, we've got this big muzzle, which I assume is a foreign obtrusion kind of thing, but as much as like I think that this guy's gonna need a nose job, it doesn't look bad, and it provides full pick rail down here for the inclusion of whatever foregrip you'd like. Now, if you don't want a foregrip, this is actually not bad. It almost looks like a skull from the front, or at least it does to me, but with the included kind of molding on there, it's actually large enough for me to comfortably grip it in any configuration. I think that that's nice, and it's not that far for me to slide down like that and then yank my mag like that. So I think that that's fine as well. Full length mag is just as comfortable. Overall blaster with a complete top pick rail, the stock attachment point, and the rubber where it matters in the stock and the grip is actually quite nice. The controls are pretty standard. I'm actually really stoked with how these work. Let me show you guys up close. The comfort of the controls is pretty good. The rev switch might be a wee bit small, but I can reach it pretty comfortably. And while the trigger pull is definitely very comfortable, very clean, especially in semi-auto, the thing that I am very stoked about is that I can switch to full auto very comfortably. At which point you notice that there's no immediate feedback on this trigger, which tells me that there's some sort of electronic linkage. And then doubling down on that, and it'll be more apparent in the mod guide, it seems like the pusher mechanism is connected to some sort of sled in there, which is really, really compelling and exciting. The other internal thing that's worth mentioning in the video is that the stock cage has concavity in its flywheels. They almost look like worker flywheels, which is just surreal to me. I'm very excited to get in here and take a look at the motors, but for right now, I just want to look at the blaster in its stock form. Now, remember when I was talking about how I think that this is going to revolutionize the ease of entry into electronic modding or electronic performance or high performance electronic Nerf blasters? That's because in a world where you normally need a soldering iron and high gauge wire and special switches and a Lipo battery, you now don't need any of that. You can get decent performance out of this, as we're going to demonstrate with alkalines, but the biggest Easter egg in this blaster is that when I pull this out, and this is just, I don't know. And now I want to be clear, I was blown away when I noticed things like Talon compatibility and the ease of removal and changing of springs in some of these previous blasters, but this takes the cake. This is the clearest and most almost obnoxiously cool, because there's no reason to do this unless you intend for this to be used by competent and competitive Nerfers and enthusiasts. This has its battery tray, which holds all of the 8 AA's to power this thing. It's held in with an XT60 connector, specifically a female XT60 connector, which means that if you, dear viewer, were to go to Foam Pro Shop and purchase a Lipo battery, and we've tested this with a bunch, this is just the one that we found that we want to stock because we like it the most. We also tried some smaller batteries. We tried 3S and 2S configurations with different burst charges. We really like this one because we found that with this battery in particular, and the channel that almost seems tailor-made to fit the XT60 connector and the balance chargers underneath it, you look at this, it's a perfect fit. It's like a huge tray for lots of different Lipo configurations, ready-made with an XT60 connector. And then as important as the XT60 connector is, if you look at the wire coming off of it, it's already a super heavy gauge. It's a properly modified blaster that you could buy from the factory. And as cool as that is, you can get excellent performance out of it without having to put the Lipo in. You could just use alkalines. I don't know if I would use rechargeable alkalines, but that's just because I'm a real stickler. I'm going to go ahead and lock this back in. But just like, the Talon magazines, it's so clear that, this pro development team is paying attention to what we do. And we've known that from their attendance at our events for a while. But I can't tell you how flattering it is as a major event organizer to see that benefit the hobby and the community in so many little ways. So that is pretty cool. We're gonna go ahead and rack those in, make sure that they're locked into place, put the tray back on. These are brand new Duracell AA's. So hopefully we get, the best baseline for performance out of it. But now that it's plugged in, it's pretty good. That's pretty cool. Well, I threw some AAA's in this guy anyway, because I figured as long as we were talking batteries, we would plug this in and you guys would be able to see there is a pretty clean red dot profile in there. It's actually pretty sharp. It's a plus sign. I don't know how accurate it's going to be. I normally like my line of sight to be clear, but as long as we're keeping it on the blaster for the purposes of the video, why not power it up and take a look? It's actually, it's not bad. It's a great accessory when you consider that people used to pay $100 for the old Nerf PPS. So with that said, we've got really good kind of brum out of these motors and flywheel setup. We've got the red dot on. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of these darts. These are an interesting take. They look like almost a hybrid of the Target darts. They've got the Target dart diamond head in a slightly different configuration, along with the old school bamboo darts, which is to say the knurling on the darts. And I think that is in and of itself pretty sweet. So we're gonna go ahead and load up a couple of these magazines, blow through them real quick, and then we'll take them outside. We'll give you a full chronograph testing suite of a bunch of different darts. I assume that since I'll test it in here. I assume that since this is the same adapter, we're going to get the same kind of Talon compatibility, because it also has the second catch inside, which tells us that it should be Talon compatible. And that would just be really cool because you know, in the same way that I'm excited about the compatibility of Lipos, I'm also really stoked that these blasters tend to handle aftermarket magazines and things that complement loadouts that we already have. So I'll start with their darts, see how those sound. I'll set the blaster to semi-auto first. I'm slowly, I feel like we need to, I know it's doing something powerful, and admittedly, like, my curtains in my office are old, but we need to tilt over here because this is never, they're super worn, but if you guys look over here, it's blown a hole in my, that's cool. All right, so in the interest of just destroying these completely, comment down below what curtains I should replace them with. That's kind of fun. Let's go ahead and take the rest of the magazine and see what kind of performance full auto gets. I mean, I'll switch that over like that, and away we go. So admittedly, it is not the fastest full auto setup, but hopefully it'll be faster when we switch it over to Lipo power, since the Lipo is going to provide amps to not only the flywheel setup, but also to whatever the system is in here that's activating the pusher mechanism. Just real quick, switch it back over to semi. Got some target darts and a Talon magazine. Excellent, excellent. I love the compatibility across the board. So let's fire a couple of target darts, just see. Nice, 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 nice. All right, I mean, I'm thoroughly impressed. It's hard to believe all the different features in this thing. It's like getting a fully modified blaster out of the box, which I guess is what they're going for these days. Let's take it outside. Let's get some formal chronograph data for you. Let's go. All right, guys, so we're outside with the Mark III. We've got the chronograph. Jinx is kind of looming up here. I don't know what she's, oh, don't. As soon as I said it, she's gonna come down here and get in the way. I know her too well. Anyway, so we're gonna start with some half-length dart performance. We'll do that in semi-auto, actually. I wanna get some semi-auto readings here. I think that that's cleaner for the chronograph, and then we'll switch to the full length. The full length should be higher just because there's more room for the flywheels to work on the darts. So let's crunch this down so it's closer to the thing. I put it in full auto. I wasn't thinking about it. So that was a number and then 148, which is pretty good. 149, 158, 154, 151. And then again, just to be abundantly clear, these are the pro darts that are coming with the blaster. Those are the half lengths. Let's do the full lengths. 159, duplicate, duplicate, 54, 55, 51. So those are all mid to high 150s, which, you know, for a blaster that's claiming 150s isn't bad. Now, while we still have fresh alkalines in here, I want to see what the performance is going to look like with some other darts, some popular options. So these are the most popular flywheel darts actually right now. They're cheap, they're plentiful, they're available. These are the Dart Zone waffle tips. Also a Dart Zone dart. We're not going to bother testing elites because while elites might even get higher FPS, who wants to be shooting elites? It's 2021. 154, 150, 145, duplicate 145, 120 is an outlier, 147, 149, 144. So that's pretty interesting. A little bit lower than the included darts. I'm gonna go ahead and use the adapter along with some of my Talon magazines here. I've got 3 different ones to go because I'm, you know, gonna save the remainder of those for when we switch over to Lipo. But I have the target darts, the diamond darts, then I have the pro darts here, and then I have some worker Gen 3s. So we'll start with the worker Gen 3s. 133, 139, 145, 140, 144. Not bad. It's a weird hiccup there. I know that a couple of my friends have been having issues with some of the Talon magazines, and I haven't had any issues with the included adapter. I think maybe slight variations in the spring for the retraction on this blaster. I'm not 100% positive what's going on there. Anyway, let's try the target darts. 144, 148, 144, 147, 143, 146. All right, we'll save those. I'm always tempted to use this one, which just tells me that I need to design a slightly different set of controls here, although I imagine it'll be pretty similar to the ones we've been using. All right, and then finally some Adventure Force Pro darts. 124, 149, 143, 141, 44, 46. So it seems relatively clear from that data, the included darts, for whatever reason, get greater than the 150 expectation. And then it seems like everything else floats a little bit underneath that. But the coolest thing about this blaster is that it is Lipo ready out of the box. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this out. As we've pointed out before, right here under the third battery is a single Phillips head screw. I'm gonna go ahead and pull that out. We do sell these. We have the perfect battery over on Foam Pro Shop for this blaster, and we have our own Lipo pack things. This is just maximum power, performance, and capacity. This is the perfect fit for this tray. You guys will be able to see here how that kind of tucks in and takes advantage of the space under the battery to achieve that perfect fit. That's so cool. Now again, Lipo safety is really, really important, and I'm planning on doing a full video on it, but if you've been in the hobby for any measurable amount of time, you've probably already discovered that Lipo power makes these more powerful flywheel builds possible, and this blaster running on 3S is just an absolute dream. So let's start in reverse, and we're gonna get less data this time because I want to save some for the downrange firing, but I think I have 4 of these waffle tips. 160, duplicate, 170, 172. So that's the cheapest full length darts you can find, taking it all the way up to 172. Pretty impressive. We're only gonna do a few of these, like I said. These are the AF Pros. 150, 147, 144. So not a noticeable difference on half lengths, incidentally, other than just, I guess, the advantages of having a rechargeable dart. Workers did slightly better, being in the mid 150s. This is going to be a data-heavy video, guys, but that's what the review is for. Looks to be pretty similar. I could get more data points, but it seems like a generalist impression and then good variability is where we want to be. 169, 159, 165, 161. So with the included darts, this thing is really, really humming. And then we'll do a couple of the included full lengths, which might be the highest performance if all of this checks out so far. I think we're gonna take the 182 and just be really, really happy with that. I don't know what else to say. I'm gonna get some full auto. I guess we'll use some of this for that, because I know that full auto on the, let's just get some range data. Let's just do it. It'll just be fun. So we've got a target down here. Again, we're using our zip target for this guy down range. We've got Jinx hoping that some of the darts don't make it all the way. I've got us out at a pretty reasonable distance. It's currently out at 50 feet, which is a good engagement distance for competitive. I'm sure I could take it out further with these FPSs, but I don't need to do that necessarily. Let's do a few semi-auto shots with the high FPS. It looks like we have a few here. I was firing very quickly for some reason. I don't know if we hit the target. We weren't exactly lined up. All right, let's try a couple more this way. Oh, I was in, maybe I flipped the switch. I don't know. Nope. It's in full auto now, and I can't keep it straight. So all 3 of those pulled right, and I threw the adapter on the ground because I am big dumb. All right, so here's some target darts. You know what? I'm just gonna full auto. We're just gonna see in full auto how effective this is. All right, so we clipped it there. Let's do a burst fire of AF Pros. I actually kind of like the full auto for dialing in the creep. I think that's, I almost wish I had more darts in one of these magazines. And again, my particular model seems to be pulling right. I don't know if that's just the alignment of the flywheel cage or what's going on with that. But overall, the blaster itself, with its included accessories, with its 2 magazines, with the darts that it comes with, the performance, the features inside that are so very rich, the fact that this is the easiest way to get somebody into competitive flywheel nerfing, with the ease of adding the Lipo and just all that comes with it, the universal compatibility in terms of stocks and foregrip options if you choose to take advantage of the muzzle, as well as sights up top, just really lends itself to being something very, very special. I know I said this years and years ago, but like the stuff that Dartzone's doing in terms of making ammo accessible and in bringing like full powered springers to market and putting them on shelves at price points like even outside of the pro line, like with the Striker and the Nexus, has always been like really, really exciting to me. But to make it electronic and put together a full class primary blaster that delivers darts up to 180 FPS is unreal at 130. And I've heard all of the critiques where it's like, you could make a Strife for that much. It's like, well, if you already have all of the tools and all of the stuff, then like, yeah, sure you could. But that's not really what this is about. This is about the ease of entry into this form of, nerfing for the hobby. It's about the ease of acquisition for somebody who just wants to get into full auto dart blasting with this rate of fire and this much power behind it. It's about the universal compatibility of so much of this platform. I think that it's just a really stellar offering. I'm stoked that they're going to be distributing not just to the States, but also I know Canada, as well as I think one other region. Well, I'm not positive. On October 1st, I think that that's really cool. I don't have like a sponsored buy link or anything for you guys, but I know they're going to be retailing them on Target.com and I guess Target.ca in a couple of days here. I waited to make this video. I wanted to make a really good video for you guys to give you a first look at this blaster. And then I'm really excited tomorrow to show you all of the parts that we've been working on for the blaster, because we have a really, really mean kit to supplement the good stuff already inside here. Thank you so much for watching. As always, much love. Blast on, Drac out.